Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. We are blessed to have Rabbi Mordecai Darvish with us. We're going into the 10th of Teves. If you like what we're talking about here, please help us out. Help us go viral. Like, share, subscribe to videos. I don't know, ask us Torah questions. Get in the conversation. Let's
even if you don't like it, subscribe.
Even if you don't like it, subscribe anyway, just to see, how crazy it is every week what we say. Okay, here we go. So 10th of Teves. It's a fast day. A lot of people don't know a lot about these holidays. I just want to give a quick intro. You can jump in anytime you want. So it's 3 days of darkness. The 8th of Teves is when the Greek king Ptolemy in Egypt, they ruled like the Egypt region. The Greek Empire split into 4 parts. King Ptolemy ruled, I think it was Ptolemy II. I don't know exactly which one right now. And he ordered 70 Talmidei Hachamim, 70 Torah scholars. He said, translate the Torah into Greek. And that used to be a fast day, because then instead of the world coming to the Jewish people and saying, teach me your Torah, all of a sudden they had their Torah and they could twist it and they can make it into whatever they want. They didn't have the Torah Shabbat Peh. They didn't have the oral. You want to comment on this?
I'm sorry. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
The point is that you can't translate the Torah. You can translate concepts, but you can't translate the Torah. The Torah is encompassing of all 70 languages. So when one word, like I'll give the audience an example, davar means thing, but it also means word. Okay, so it is impossible. It's not almost impossible, and so it's a natural tragedy because we had to translate the Torah. We had to encompass it into one idea. Okay, it's Bereshit is the beginning, but Bereshit isn't the beginning. The beginning is 70 different interpretations of the Torah. That's what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai did with Tikkunei Zohar. There's 70 different understandings of the word Bereshit. Okay, just one word, 70. Can a person understand that one word means 70 different things? That's just, it's almost impossible. Okay, to tell somebody. It's like double clicking on something. All of a sudden, 70 files opening up.
Right.
Okay, that's a natural tragedy, because if 70 files could open up and you only open up one file, that you should cry about that.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's like somebody getting 0.01% that the bank offers to 190% that Bitcoin offers. Like, what's like? Come on, man! Like, what are you doing to me? You're killing me here.
No, I mean, in Aramaic, the word for Torah is derisa. It's related to the Hebrew word lashon hakodesh, or light. So this is bringing darkness, because the Torah, in essence, is created by the infinite being. It was created by Hashem, and it was the blueprint for all of creation. And like you're saying, there's these 70 facets, like the faces of a diamond. And now you're limiting it into one language, and you're taking that infinite quality of the Torah, this blueprint for all creation, and you bring it into a finite, and then you just squeeze out like the mystical greatness.
That's such a natural tragedy. That is what I personally, I cry about that. Like when people think the Torah is one thing and they just I don't relate to that one thing. I'm like, are you insane? It's 70 different things. There's so many things. There is literally not something that your soul doesn't gravitate to. But the problem is, if you think it only means one thing, then you're trapped. And that one thing may not talk to you.
Right, it's like a prism of light. There's this amazing prism of 70 different colored lights, and it's like, I don't like this color, but you're missing all the rest.
Exactly. And they associate that color with the whole entirety of the thing, and it's a shame.
And if you really saw the beauty of all the colors of light, you may even say, oh, this is really good too. It is good. So that was the 8th, and the 8th of Teves used to be a fast day. Now the 9th of Teves, this is very interesting. So Ezra HaSofer, Ezra the scribe, died on the 9th of Teves, and the Gemara says that he's also the prophet Malachi, and that he was the last prophet. So the age of prophecy dies. So the world goes into darkness for the second day, And, you know, instead of like this nevuah, this prophecy where we're getting messages from this infinite being, now we're in the dark. Now we have no more prophecy. the age of prophecy is ended. And it's interesting, the Gemara says on the day that Ezra Sofer died, that's the day Yashka Pundrik, that's the day JC was born. So after
JC Penny? JC
What?
Penny, that's when he was born? JC Penny?
It doesn't talk about it. It's very hidden. There's one Rishon, I think, that mentions it briefly. This is not so well known, but this was his actual birthday. And this is another day of darkness. We lose Ezra, Hasofer, we lose prophecy, and the world goes dark.
What's the problem with losing prophecy? What is prophecy? What is prophecy?
But only in a world without prophecy could.
What is prophecy?
Wait, but only. Well, I'll get to that one second. But only in a world without prophecy could people possibly believe that a man is God, that a man could be this unique being. You know, yeah.
That's the most insane thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, whoever I'm offending, because I don't care. Okay, the truth is the truth, right? I'm Mordecai. You're not going to tell me I'm convinced I'm John. All right.
You know, Mordecai.
You're not. You're just not. Like, you can call me John all you want. I am Mordecai, right?
But Mordecai would not bow down to Haman. He wouldn't bow down.
Yeah,
to
this idea is like other people may be like, you know, acquiesce and like try to be politically correct. I'm just, if you find a Mordecai, you're not going to find that in that.
Teves, Mordecai Unplugged.
right. So the idea is like let's stop being politically correct. Let's just talk about the truth. And the truth is that we as Jewish people, we have the truth. You know what I mean? And we in the end of these 6,000 years, somewhere along that end, we're going to be the light onto nations, where the world will recognize exactly what we're saying to be true, and they'll come to us and be like, all right, you guys are right, let's serve the one infinite God together. And we're like, okay, no problem. You know what I mean? And that's the goal we're striving to, because without a goal, I mean, everybody can say what they want to say, and everybody has their certain point that they, you know what I mean? Like, if I point to one of the books on your shelf and I'm like, yeah, you know, he has a book of Chumash on his shelf. I'm not wrong, but you have 50 other books on your shelf. Yeah. Okay, you have a library. I'm not wrong in that one thing that I point out.
Yeah.
But in the totality, it is wrong, because there is a total thing. Go ahead.
You know, to go back to your question before, you said, what is prophecy? So
right.
So the Nevi'im, the prophets, what they would actually do is they would go into a meditative state. They would meditate, and they would block out the physical world. So they would tune out.
Whoa! Were they holy and meditate, or are they just anybody could just meditate and anybody could get this?
Right. So why the age of prophecy end? Right. So these people were they were at an extreme level of like development of midos, like their personal characteristics were very refined. Like, these were people that would not they wouldn't get angry. You know, they could fight their natural impulses, like where a normal person would get angry and negative emotions. They refined themselves to such a degree that their emotions were controlled. They would only do mitzvos, not averas. Like, you know, I mean, this is a very high spiritual level. This is not so easy. I mean, right. the book Mesilas Yesharim by the Ramchal goes into the steps that a person has to take to get up to this level of refinement. So, right, it's not just any old schmo, not Joe Poloni, you know, just doing it. So they were
just meditating, yeah.
Right, and there was schools for prophecy, and they would get up to a very high level. They would keep themselves far away from averas and anything that brings in tuma, negative spiritual energy.
No sins,
only positive spiritual energy of tahara and kedusha. So they're a very refined level. Then they would go into a meditative state. And they were already so connected to this infinite being, to Hashem, through just learning Torah, doing the mitzvos, helping other people, doing gemilas chasadim, control of their emotions.
Kindness. Yeah.
Kindness. They would go into this meditative state. They would block out their physical senses, and the essence of them, the souls, the neshamas, would actually go into higher and higher spiritual worlds, and they would get communication from this infinite being. They would get direct communication from Hashem. And they would bring that back and, you know, relate it to other people in the world, you know. So
basically, they were stopped being beastly and they were more godly. And so with the godly force in the world connected with them and spoke to them, and so they can relate truism.
They were an elevated human. They were what a human being should be. They were the elevation of what a human being can be, right? Not like you say, not a human being, with the lowest level of soul, the nefesh, the nefesh behema, the animal soul, not just indulged in which physical desire can I indulge in next. They were on a spiritually high level, and they were going to. So that's why the second day, the 9th of Teves, is this age of darkness again. We lose this great light, the connection to the infinite light of Hashem, the connection to Nevuah, prophecy, and the world goes dark again on the 9th of Teves. Should we go to the 10th?
Go to the 10th.
We're going to.
So let them know. Share the secrets out there.
So we did used to fast the 8th and the 9th and the 10th. Now we just fast. And once again, I think our spiritual level, we're so weak now, we don't have the physical strength, the spiritual strength to fast the 8th, 9th, and 10th like we used to. Now we just do it on the 10th. So the 10th was the beginning of the destruction. The 10th was the day Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king, destroys the first temple, destroys King Solomon's temple, Shlomo HaMelech's base Mikdash, and the walls of Yerushalayim, the walls of Jerusalem were breached in this conquest on the 10th of Teves, and that led to the destruction of the temple on the 9th of Av. So this is the beginning, and then from here into the summer, it leads to the destruction. Now I'm going to talk about something hidden and mysterious, and how there's, in these 3 days of darkness, there's a secret light hidden in it. I want to talk about the more mystical aspects also. So it's all
right. Hurry up.
Okay.
Let us know.
We're waiting. We're on the clock. We're waiting. So I got a question. So my question is, I was asking my students this today, and I was saying, so how can this be? We just got out of Kislev. We got out of Hanukkah. That's the light in the darkness. That's the mystical. It's the last, revealed miracle from Hashem, the menorah, for 8 days, it's burning. The miraculous victory of the Maccabees, the Chashmonaim, outnumbered by the mighty Greek army. So there we see the Geula. There we see the redemption. We sing Ma'ot Zor, the redemption from Egypt, the redemption from Babylon, from Persia, from Greece, from eventually Bezrat Hashem, Rome soon. We see the constant redemption. Okay, so that's the month before us. Now, the next month after Teves is Shvat. It's Tu B'Shvat. It's the new year of the trees. It's related to the Esrogim that we daven for. It's related to the Eitz Chaim, the tree of life, connection to Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. So good stuff in this winter, good spiritual light. Then what's after that? Adar, Purim, Geula, the redemption from Persia, the defeat of Mordecai. Mordecai defeats the wicked Haman, Mordecai and Esther. And then what's after Adar? Nisan, Pesach, Passover, the ultimate redemption from Egypt. And why do we have 3 days of darkness in Teves in all this light? All this light, all this redemption, connection to Gan Eden, connection to the Garden of Eden, and now we have 3 days of darkness. What's going on? What's happening? Yeah. Why are we in this 3 days of darkness?
All right.
Okay. But I want to point to something else. There's darkness here, but there is a very special light hidden in this darkness. Now, I got some amazing insights also. I recommend this book, Rabbi Gad Erlanger, The Sign of Times. Excellent book about all the months from the Hebrew perspective, from the Torah perspective. But interesting thing that happened on the 10th of Teves. If we go to the Megillas Esther, so first I want to say about Rabbi Erlanger's book. So he says, so the mazel, the constellation for this month is the little kid goat. It's the little kid goat. And he's saying this little kid goat is related to the ram of Nisan, the ram of Passover, the ram of Pesach. So it's just born here. This little kid goat is born here, and it's going to lead to the redemption. So where do we see it? So we actually see it in the Megillas Esther, the hidden light of Teves. Because it says in Esther chapter 2, verse 16, it says, Esther was taken to King Achashverosh into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Teves, and in the 7th year of his reign. So here we see darkness. Achashverosh throws a little beauty pageant to get all the young maidens of the land, and he creates a harem. He's indulging the physical pleasures of the world to get a new wife after he killed Queen Vashti, his wife Vashti. And Esther is basically kidnapped, dragged against her will into Achashverosh's palace on the 10th of Teves. So you'd say, it's just more darkness. It's more darkness, but hidden in that darkness, that's the beginning of the redemption. That's the beginning of the redemption from Persia. That's the beginning of Esther becoming Queen Esther. That's her being in perfect position to take down Haman, and then
so that's the idea. That's the idea. The infinite is both in the darkness and in the light. There's no difference, right? It's our awareness of that difference. Like we're in the darkness, we feel the darkness, and we think darkness, and we believe darkness. But like when hidden inside is the light.
Yeah, I mean Hashem's infinite light's never going away. It's just Or Zarua La Sadiqim, but it's hidden. It's Or Zarua. It's the hidden light. It's the same. It's what's that?
It's like a planting of the seed.
The plant is
the seed goes into the darkness of the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The light is planted in the ground, but it's going to sprout, and it starts now. So he said. So Rabbi Erlanger, he said in his book, this is the month in the dark and the cold. We have the short days, long nights. It's cold, but this is when the fruit trees. This is when it starts. This is when the blossoms start. That's where they get their strength.
That's where they get their strength.
The kid goat is beginning to grow into the mighty ram of Nisan. We're building to Pesach. So in this darkness, in this cold, it's not revealed like in Kislev with Hanukkah, with the the revealed lights, but the light's hidden. Hashem's infinite light never goes away. It's there, but it's hidden. And it's hidden in these 3 days of darkness. So there's going to be a fix for all this. There's going to be a fix for, well, why did Hashem spread, why did he make the Torah translated into Greek? He's planting a seed. Okay, so like you said, it's stripped down the Torah to the languages of the world. But they're starting to get a taste of the Torah. They're starting to taste the light of the Torah. It's beginning. It's not perfect. It's not ideal, but it's starting. Yeah. What do you think?
So I think though the world was one language once upon a time, and that one language got split into 70 languages, right?
What was that language?
And, well, the language was Lashon HaKodesh, like the holy tongue, right? The holy tongue, which is Hebrew, and so that got spread into 70 languages, and that has to come back to the oneness, right? And even in that spread is the darkness. That spread itself is being darkened because, like, let's say French or English or whatever it is, whatever language that came about is dark. It's not complete. It has something of the light, but it's not complete. And deep down there, it's still a light. It's still a piece of that one puzzle. And then eventually we're going to get back to that one. Right. But right now we're feeling darkness. Right now we're in this like exile. Right. Or the whole if the Jews are in exile, all of humanity is in exile. There's no separations. We're all together. We're all the children of God in some aspect. Some are closer and some are much farther. But we have the code to get back to reality. Right. So back to life, back to reality, right? That song. Okay. That's the truth. We have that code. And whoever wants to follow it, right, will see that light. Yeah. I can't express how much wow factor there is. I had no idea that this is my heritage. I had no clue. And when you and I studied together, it was just like, mind blowing. I didn't want to leave it. I mean, I don't know. We studied till like 2 or 3 in the morning every night, we like just being wowed by these ideas that no one in the world even thought to spew out of their mouth. This is before all the new age and the self-improvement stuff. And this has been going on for years, right? For millennia. And it's our heritage. It's ours. Right. It's there to be shared with the world. Anybody who wants to come close to it can come close to it. Right. They obviously have to accept it as truth and they can come close to it. But like if a person knew what was in it, they wouldn't leave it.
Right.
They just don't know.
Yeah. But see, Hashem darkened everything, but he's planting those seeds of infinite light in the darkness. So he darkened it. The Torah gets translated to all the rest of the languages of the world. But now the other nations, they have a seed of the Torah. They don't have
right. So now they
they
can,
don't have
can feel it somehow.
they don't have the
As
full
long as their
complete
heart's
yeah.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as their heart's open, they can come back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as if their heart's open, they can get in. It's like the key that opens it up, right?
Yeah.
If their heart's closed, then they'll be like, "Oh, this is stupid. This doesn't make sense. If it means this, then it can't mean that." That's a closed heart.
Yeah.
An open heart's like, "Okay, I want to know what this is." You do know who Reggie White is? I'm sure you know.
Is he football? Is he?
Come on, you know Reggie White, right?
No, he sounds familiar. I'm just not familiar.
He's
an athlete, right?
yeah, of course. Played for the Philadelphia Eagles, right?
The
one
Eagles,
of the all-time sack leaders. Yeah, one of the all-time sack leaders. Come on, you're not a true NFL fan.
I remember. I remember.
I thought you were true NFL. You were bringing up the Ravens. I thought you were true.
No.
I
thought he was an Eagle. I just couldn't remember so much.
He was an Eagle for the first part of his career. Then he became a Green Bay Packer when the coach decided to leave a message on his answer machine. And the coach did this. He said, Reggie, this is God. I want you to play for the Green Bay Packers. And he took it up. He took up on it. He's like, okay, fine, I'll change teams. Yeah. But the idea was that he was a minister, and he, towards the end of his life, it was a short life.
Oh, he died? I didn't know he died.
Yeah. No, he died. He died very young. He was like maybe 40s, maybe 50s. Wow. I forget his true age, but he died very young. Wow. But the idea was after his playing career was done, he started learning the Torah in Hebrew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's interesting. Yeah, he was a minister. He was a Christian minister, and he wanted to know the true Torah. So he started learning Hebrew in order to learn the Torah in Hebrew. Yeah. And that is a person of truth, right? I mean, you don't get it's a special neshama, it's a special soul that is seeking out the truth, that knows who really is the truth. Because he knew, he was a minister, right? Yeah. So he knew their theology. He knew the nations of the world, like where it's going. But he said, wait a minute, where's the origin? I want to get back to the origin. He just happened to die a little bit earlier before he could discover it totally.
I'll tell you, surprising Philadelphia sports people that are learning Torah, which is shocking. You never guess this one. You probably maybe know about this. Lenny Nails Dykstra.
No.
learns Torah.
No.
Yeah, he learns Torah. Yeah, check it. He talks about the parsha all the time. Check out his stuff. My friend is a good friend of mine's friends with him, and you got to check out Lenny Dykstra on Torah.
You know the deal is, people who are people of truth, and he is, for all his lack of character or whatever it is, his bruteness. Yeah. His people who are true, who will just say what it is to your face. Yeah. Those are people who can learn the Torah. Yeah. Right. The people who are like fake, they can't accept it because they're fake.
I think that goes into the 9th of Teves, because like Hashem darkens the world. There's no more prophecy. That allows room for Christianity to begin. But it's interesting. The Rambam says that Christianity, Islam, it's the vessel for like the children of Esav and the children of Ishmael. And it plants the seed of Torah in them. They don't have the shlemos, the full picture, but the seeds are growing. The seeds are growing, like you're talking about. We got a Reggie White, we got Lenny Nails Dykstra. I think the actor John Voight, like he studies Torah, I heard, with like Chabad rabbis sometimes. So there's seeds. I mean, there's seeds in the world that are planted, and the world's starting to come to Torah. I mean, it's starting, it's starting to happen. Like. So there's this infinite light, it's hidden in the darkness. I think that's absolutely. I think it's great examples of what you're bringing. No, and back to you talk about the Ravens. I like to talk about my Ravens. It's interesting. I mean, the season's been impossible so far. Everyone's injured. Even Lamar Jackson's injured now. Everyone's injured. And I saw John Harbaugh, the coach, and he said something very interesting. And I don't know exactly what their conception is. I don't know if you saw my video I was talking about, but there's a video of him in the locker room, and they dedicated the whole season to God. Yeah. And you see,
it's funny.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis, right? Ray Lewis. I'm sorry, guys, for the audience out there. We're getting into football a little bit. Ray Lewis was like for all his character flaws, that guy was like one of the best football players of all time.
Good football
And
player. Good football.
a very good football player.
I don't know if he's gonna be a prophecy right now, but good football player.
No, but that man, he spoke about God a lot. And
there's something there.
There was one season I remember very acutely. I think they lost to the Patriots, right? Yeah. And I heard his locker room interview, and his locker room interview went like this. He said, "We left it all out there. We did everything we could. Yeah. We did absolutely everything we could, and it was not God's will that we win today. Every corner we painted every corner, we dotted every I, crossed every T. It was just not God's will that we win today." And that was it was amazing if you listen to the words he's saying.
I'll tell you, I mean, there's something really interesting that he's got. I mean, Justin Tucker is like one of the best like kickers in the history of the NFL. I mean, I think he is strong, belief in God. I think Lamar Jackson does. I mean, not usual. Extremely talented. His mom is negotiating for him his contract. He didn't get an agent. It's just his mom. I mean, I think John Harbaugh, he talks a lot about God. I mean, dedicating the season to God, it's called big trust in each other, big trust in God. And it's interesting. I'll tell you what, we'll see if it happens. I think they're going to beat Green Bay next week. I mean, it's impossible. There's no way they can win. Lamar just got hurt. They're going against Aaron Rodgers, this powerhouse. I think they're going to beat Green Bay next week. We'll see.
It was funny. I remember, and one of my students sent me this. I hope he watches. I don't know if he's watching this. One of my students sent me this. We were watching the Eagles season about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and the season they won the Super Bowl. It was absolutely amazing. Their best quarterback, who got them to a winning record, Carson Wentz, went down. Yeah, I mean, he got injured. It was a pretty bad play. It was a very important game. And he just lost all faith. My friend I was watching with, the student, he's just like, forget it, it's over. Everybody's crying. I'm like, no. Like, if it's God's will, it's gonna be. Trust me. I don't know if it's God's will, but I have faith. This is magical season. Anyway, it was him that noticed that the last 3 games spelled out God, and it was a special way. It was the Giants, Oakland, and Dallas.
That's interesting,
right? And it was his notice.
That's interesting.
His noticing.
That's interesting.
And he was telling me along the way. He was telling me as we were watching these games. He's like, "It spells God." I'm like, "Listen, I don't know if it's God, but I'm telling you, I feel something. I'm feeling this is a possibility." And they actually won those games, and they obviously, they won the Super Bowl. And it was just amazing to say, like, against all odds is God. Against all odds, God. And that's who we are as the Jewish people. We're against all odds. Smallest nations, quote unquote, weakest of the nations. We don't have a land. We don't have a place. We're just all over the place, literally. And we're going to be the nation that brings everybody back to God, back to the win, the Super Bowl.
Right. And this is it. And this is it. The infinite light. It's never going away. Hashem's there all the time. But it's hidden in the darkness. And our job is to bring it out. Bring out that light. Look, and even it may seem silly, but even looking at NFL and this and that, but looking for Hashem's
it's not
light.
silly. It's not silly.
But looking at Hashem's, but Hashem's light is everywhere, and you can see it everywhere.
Exactly. It's not silly because it's in everything.
Okay. Godliness
is in everything. You just got to have the eyes to see it and the heart to believe it.
I believe they're going to beat the Packers. We'll see what happens. All right, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. We'll leave it here, and maybe we'll see everybody again soon, B'ezrat Hashem, and we'll talk more
sweet and good Torah.
Sweet and good Torah.
Subscribe and like and share, because
talking about the end of days. Talking about the end of days. Okay, we'll see you guys soon.